Good morning!
I'm your radio teacher,
I am your science buddy.
and I'll give you an exciting lesson that you'll surely enjoy.
Sci Talks Radio. Education must continue.
Learning is a great avenue.
No one will be left behind.
With new normal comes new learning.
New method, new way of understanding.
Keep on learning.
Keep on achieving,
There's no way of hindering.
enriching one's dream.
This is
Sci Talks Radio, your number one source of science education.
Conveying a half an hour of quality scientific teaching on air.
This is Sci Talks Radio.
Amazing day to our grade 7 students and to all our science learners out there. This is your school on the air where learning never stops propelling forward. Welcome to a day full of excitement and fun. This is Ma'am Marilet Paguyo, your guide in your study through the radio. Together, let's make science a fun experience. A good meal is a fuel to a productive day. Skipping one is the unhealthiest study habit. Are you in your most comfortable positions? Please make sure that you are as you listen to this broadcast attentively. In our previous learning episode, we discussed concepts which explained the cell as the basic structural and functional unit of all organisms. Can you still remember how meaningful our discussion was? Wow, that's good to hear. With that, let's put it into a test. Students, I will be reading 5 statements and you are tasked to analyze each statement carefully. Write true if the statement is correct and false if otherwise. Take note of the word that makes the statement incorrect and replace it with the correct answer. Write your answer in a one whole sheet of paper. Are you ready? Sounds great! Here's item number 1. The structure of an organism is affected by the way its cells are shaped and organized. I repeat, the structure of an organism is affected by the way its cells are shaped and organized. Is the statement true or false? Number 2. The tissue is the smallest unit that can get and use energy, remove waste, and carry out other processes necessary for life. I repeat, the tissue is the smallest unit that can get and use energy, remove waste, and carry out other processes necessary for life. Is this statement true or false? Number 3. Most of the functions that an organism needs to carry out to stay alive happen inside its cells. I repeat, most of the functions that an organism needs to carry out to stay alive happen inside its cells. Is this statement true or false? Number 4. Cells are the basic structural and functional unit of all life. Examples include red blood cells and nerve cells. I repeat, cells are the basic structural and functional unit of all life. Examples include red blood cells and nerve cells. Is this true or false? And number 5. Cells are dependent, single-celled organisms that take in nutrients, excrete wastes, detect and respond to their environment, move, breathe, grow, and reproduce. I repeat. Cells are dependent, single-celled organisms that take in nutrients, excrete wastes, detect and respond to the environment, move, breathe, grow, and reproduce. Is this true or false? Okay, are you done answering? This time, let us check your answers. Number 1 is a true statement. Number 2 is a false statement because it is the cell, not tissue, that is referred to as the smallest basic unit of life that plays an important role for all of life's processes. Number 3 is true. Number 4 is true. And finally, item number 5 is false because the cell is capable of existing independently and can carry out of all the functions which are important for a living being. Were you able to get a perfect score? That's great to hear. To those who got less than the perfect score, don't feel bad. What matters most is you tried. Anyway, we will still go over those lessons once again, so it's never too late to make up. This time, relax and stay focused because we will be having our amazing discussion after this short break.
Mari, narinig mo na ba ang tungkol sa online distance learning ng DepEd? Ano ba ito? Ay oo, Mari! Ang online distance learning ay isang pamamaraan kung saan maihahatid ng mga guro ang kaalaman para sa mga anak natin sa tulong ng teknolohiya gaya ng internet, laptop, computer, at cellphone. Ganun ba, Mari? Oo, Mare. Hindi magkakasama at magkakaharap ang mga estudyante at mga guro. Maaaring matuto ang mga bata sa pamamagitan ng online na pagkatuto. Isang mensahe mula sa kagawaran ng edukasyon at ng himpilang ito.
The beginning of new life is truly a remarkable event. The sight of a chicken making its way out from the cracked shell or a germinating seed slowly pushing through the soil can leave one fascinated. In this learning episode, we will discuss the different modes of reproduction. Specifically, we will be differentiating asexual reproduction from sexual reproduction in terms of number 1, number of individuals involved, and number 2, similarities of offspring to parents. Before we begin this fun learning experience, please draw out your modules and listen attentively to my instructions as we go on with our discussion. Once you are all set, we'll start our amazing discussion. The ability of an organism to produce new individuals is one of the characteristics that distinguish living things from non-living things. This ability is called reproduction. Reproduction is important for the continuity of life. It also helps in providing stability to the population of species and maintains the balance on the planet. Reproduction is classified into two: the asexual and sexual reproduction. Asexual reproduction is observed in both multicellular and unicellular organisms. It is a mode of reproduction in which a new offspring is produced by a single parent. This process does not involve any kind of gamete fusion, and there won't be any change in the number of chromosomes either. It will inherit the same genes as the parent, thus, the offspring is exactly the same with the parents except in cases of mutation. There are several ways by which organisms reproduce asexually. Students, are you familiar with these processes? Can you name one of these? Alright, the first type of asexual reproduction occurs through the vegetative parts of plants such as leaves, roots, stems, and buds. This asexual reproduction is called vegetative reproduction. Some plants like potatoes and onion bulbs are usually reproduced through this. Students, can you think of other plants that asexually reproduce through vegetative reproduction? Excellent! Ginger can also be reproduced through this. The second type of asexual reproduction involves the process wherein an organism divides into two, each carrying one copy of genetic material. This reproduction is called binary fission. This type of asexual reproduction is typically observed in prokaryotic organisms such as bacteria. Budding is another type of asexual reproduction. The yeast, flatworms, and jellyfish reproduce this way. In budding, a new individual may form as an outgrowth of the parent. The outgrowth separates from the parent and becomes a new individual. Learners, when do you think this outgrowth or bud separates from the parent? That is right, since the bud derives nutrition and shelter from the parent organism and detaches once it is fully grown. Aside from what I have mentioned, what other organisms reproduce through budding? Excellent! The magnificent corals also reproduce through budding. The next type of asexual reproduction is exhibited by organisms such as lizards. Have you seen or observed a lizard without tail? Did you know that lizards have the ability to regenerate once they lose their tails? When a lizard loses its tail, a new tail grows. This is because the specialized cells present in the organism can differentiate and grow into a new individual. The process in which organisms replace or restore their lost or damaged parts is called regeneration. Organisms like Hydra and Planaria exhibit this type of asexual reproduction. Did you know that there are organisms that when cut into pieces, each piece can grow into a new organism? That is possible in some organisms like Hydra. This type of asexual reproduction is called fragmentation. It is a process where a parent body divides into several fragments and each fragment develops into a new organism. The primary advantage of asexual reproduction is the fact that it occurs over a short period of time without the need to develop the genetics to form an organism. In return, the offspring produced will share the characteristic of their parent identically. On the other hand, the disadvantage of asexual reproduction is that it limits the evolutionary process. With this, the poor qualities of the species are consistently passed down through each generation. Now that we are familiar with asexual reproduction, this time, let us discuss sexual reproduction. Sexual reproduction is a mode of reproduction that involves two parents. Parents produce reproductive cells called gametes. When these gametes unite, the process is called fertilization. The fertilized cell is referred to as a zygote, which develops into embryo and will continue to develop until it becomes a new organism. Since there are two parents involved in sexual reproduction, this will produce an offspring that looks different from its parents because its traits and genetic makeup is a combination of both. This is the reason why we humans do not look exactly the same as our parents. Sexual reproduction is more complex and lengthy as compared to asexual reproduction. Moreover, reproducing sexually gives the benefit of variation, and offsprings are unique. Some microorganisms undergo sexual reproduction by a process called conjugation. During conjugation, a bridge forms between two cells of an organism lying side by side. The contents of one cell pass into the other cell through the bridge by emptying the other cell. The contents of both cells combine in the other cell and form the zygote. When conditions become suitable for growth and development, the zygote grows into a new individual. An example of microorganism that reproduces by conjugation is Spirogyra. It is a green algae found in freshwater habitats such as ponds and rivers. We are through discussing the two types of reproduction and their differences. Let's put everything we have learned in a nutshell. Alright, in asexual reproduction, a single organism is the sole parent and the offspring is genetically identical to the parent. In sexual reproduction, two parents produce offspring that have unique combinations of genes. Offspring of sexual reproduction differ genetically from their siblings and both parents. Although organisms have different methods of reproduction, every method leads to the beginning of new life.
Mare, narinig mo na ba ang tungkol sa online distance learning ng DepEd? Ano ba ito? Ay oo, Mare! Ang online distance learning ay isang pamamaraan kung saan maihahatid ng mga guro ang kaalaman para sa mga anak natin sa tulong ng teknolohiya gaya ng internet, laptop, computer, at cellphone. Ganun ba, Mare? Oo, Mare. Hindi magkakasama at magkakaharap ang mga estudyante at mga guro. Maaaring matuto ang mga bata sa pamamagitan ng online na pagkatuto. Isang mensahe mula sa kagawaran ng edukasyon at ng himpilang ito.
Let us again test your understanding and your knowledge on the topic that we have discussed. Kindly bring out your quiz notebook in Science 7 and don't forget to write your name, grade level, section, and the day today. Are you ready? Now, set aside your notes and be alert as I will only read the questions twice. Write the letter of the correct answer from the choices provided for each given item. Once again, write the letter of the correct answer from the choices provided for each given item. Number 1. Which of the following differentiates asexual reproduction from sexual reproduction? I repeat, which of the following differentiates asexual reproduction from sexual reproduction? Letter A. Asexual reproduction requires gametes, while sexual reproduction requires body parts. Letter B. Asexual reproduction undergoes fertilization, while sexual reproduction undergoes binary fission. Letter C. Asexual reproduction does not require gametes, while sexual reproduction requires the union of gametes. Letter D. Asexual reproduction produces offspring which is different from the parent, while sexual reproduction produces offspring identical to the parent. Number 2. When an egg cell unites with the sperm cell to form a zygote, which process is taking place? I repeat, when an egg cell unites with a sperm cell to form a zygote, which process is taking place? Letter A. Fragmentation. Letter B. Fertilization. Letter C. Pollination. Or letter D. Vegetative propagation. Number 3. In sexual reproduction, what is the source of genetic material in a zygote? I repeat, in sexual reproduction, what is the source of genetic material in a zygote? Letter A. Egg cell only. Letter B. A pollen and a sperm cell. Letter C. A sperm cell only. Or letter D. An egg cell and a sperm cell. Number 4. All of the offspring of an organism have the same genetic material, which is identical to the parent organism. From this, we can conclude that this organism is blank. I repeat, all of the offspring of an organism have the same genetic material, which is identical to the parent organism. From this, we can conclude that this organism is blank. Letter A. Reproducing asexually. Letter B. Reproducing sexually. Letter C. Living in a marine habitat. Or letter D. None of the choices. And for the last question, number 5. The genetic material of an offspring of sexually reproducing organisms is best described as blank. I repeat, the genetic material of an offspring of sexually reproducing organisms is best described as blank. Letter A. Identical to that of the other offspring. Letter B. Genes from both parents in unique combinations. Letter C. A copy of the genetic material of the mother. Or letter D. A copy of the genetic material of the father. Let us check your answers for item number 1. The correct answer is letter C. Asexual reproduction does not require gametes, while sexual reproduction requires the union of gametes. For item number 2. Letter B, fertilization. For item number 3, the correct answer is letter D, an egg cell and a sperm cell. For item number 4, it's letter A, reproducing asexually. And for the last question, the correct answer is letter B, genes from both parents in unique combinations. I believe that everyone got a perfect score because I know that you listened to me attentively. And that's the end of our lesson, dear learners. On behalf of the SDO Isabela RBI production team and our script writer for this episode, Ryan J.S. Abike, I would like to greet every one of us a pleasant day, especially to our dear students, parents, and our dedicated teachers who are unceasingly working to deliver us the quality education that we deserve. If you intend to ask for more clarifications, you may read your module in advance. And if you have any queries about the lesson, you have your teacher's phone number written on the cover page of your module kit, or you can send it through our Facebook page. Our next lesson is about biotic and abiotic components of ecosystem. Make sure to tune in here at School on the Air during our scheduled time. Once again, this has been your radio teacher, Ma'am Marilet Paguyo. May our day be filled with joy and love always. Bye!
Patuloy ang edukasyon para sa ating henerasyon.
Sa daan ng pagkatuto ay walang may iwan.
Kaya halina sa Radyo Eskwela!